The magic logical, baby. Yeah. Hi, I'm Aaron Jones, and welcome to another episode of Inspire Magic, where I like to inspire you to go out and inspire others to do great magic. And today I want to talk about keeping your magic logical, or making your magic so that it's logical, both the effects and presentations, so that when you perform your magic, it's easy to follow and easy to understand what you're doing, and that the effects are clear. But before I get into that, I wanted to talk about the suspension of disbelief, because I think this is very important when you're performing. The suspension of disbelief is when the audience accepts the situation that you're in. For example, we're magicians. The audience knows that we're not really doing magic. At least I hope so. But they can accept that we're doing unbelievable things and accept that it's magic. Now, the suspension of disbelief, you often hear it when you're talking about stories or watching movies or TV programs. When you watch the show, in that universe, you will accept certain things without questioning it. For example, Star Trek. We watch Star Trek and we will suspend our disbelief. We will accept that spaceships can do warp drive, and that teleporters work, and that matter can be transferred from a spaceship in space to a place down on the ground. This is the suspension of disbelief. Now, in a movie or a story, if it goes too far, then we just think it's strange and we stop accepting it for the universe that it's in, and then the movie becomes stupid, or the situation becomes stupid because even though we accept certain things and we will suspend our disbelief for some part of the story, this is just too unbelievable, and this movie has become corny. And the same is true with magic. And I think when you are putting together your effects and using your props, that you have to be very careful not to push this boundary, because the audience is already suspending their disbelief to enjoy your magic. They know you're really doing magic, as I mentioned earlier, but they're going to accept what you're doing. So when you're keeping your magic logical, what I wanted to do is you got to keep the effects clear and the props clear and have a purpose for them. One example, for example, is if you're using something that's very gimmicky that the audience doesn't know what it is. For example, if you're using the old classic nickels to dimes brass little ring thing that you put a bunch of dimes and then you put the little brass ring over top and you put the little brass cover and you tap it and the nickels turn to dimes. Now that's a neat little effect, but that little brass gimmicky thing, the audience doesn't know what that is. That's something that only a magician has. So in the logic of your performance, you have to give a reason to why you're using this. Now, this is where you got to be careful, because if you say something, for example, and I have heard this before, this is something that NASA is developing. But that will take it beyond the suspension of the belief for the audience, because the audience will know that, of course, NASA didn't give you some secret technology that turns nickels into dimes, and it just becomes a little bit hokey. So you really gotta think about this to keep it in realistic terms. And at some aspect, the audience does know that that it's not really what it is. It's some kind of magic thing, but they will suspend their disbelief to enjoy the magic. But if you go too far, they won't. So if you're going to use a nickels and dimes brass thing, you can say that this is something that somebody gave you, or some invention your uncle did. If your character is steampunk, you can say this is your example, that this is some experiment that you made, and that would fit exactly into a steampunk performance, because using brass objects and creating strange devices is something that would fit inside a steampunk themed performance, and the audience would suspend their disbelief for that. And so when you're picking your effects and you have your props, you really got to think about how you're going to explain strange, unusual props to the audience without going too far that doesn't fit your character, that the audience's suspense of belief will just kind of go away, and then they just think you're hokey. So you have to think about this. And this goes for effects as well. You want to keep them clear and concise so that the audience can follow what's happening. And you have to have a kind of a reason or a purpose for what you're doing. The audience knows, and they know that you're not doing real magic, and I don't expect that as magicians we're going to do magic as we were real magicians, because we wouldn't be doing card tricks or linking rings and stuff like that. We're doing entertaining, but we want to make it entertaining to the audience, and they want to watch it, and so we have to kind of make that story complete that makes sense in the situation that we're in and the character that we're portraying. So if you're going to do something like an ambitious card, you want to make it very easy for them to understand and give a reason why the card is rising to the top, just not the card goes to the top. But why is this happening? You want to keep it simple and easy so the audience understands. So an effect like the ambitious card is very easy for the audience to understand. The card goes in the middle and the chosen card comes to the top of the deck. Very easy. But if you get into magic where it's more complicated and gets convoluted, sometimes you will lose the audience and they won't even know the magic has happened. And I have seen this before with I like mentalism magic, but I've seen some really convoluted mathematical magic that where the magician is writing a lot of math on a whiteboard and then doing this and doing this, and as soon as you get math or something into it, the audience starts to get lost and they're taking your word for it, but they don't really see the magic and the mystery. This can be done for convoluted effects where there's just too much going on. The audience can't really follow what's going on. So you want to keep the effect very simple, and basically like what's the Divernon quote, you want to keep it so that the audience can explain it in about one sentence so that it's easy for them to understand. So when you're thinking about your effects and thinking about your performance, keep it very logical. A happens, B happens, C, the magic happens. And it's easy for the audience to understand, and that your explanation for weird, unusual gimmicks, if you have to use them. Personally, I don't try to use a lot of strange gimmicks, because then I have to make up a story that gets into this weird area where they may not buy it, and then it ruins the performance. So you need to really think about how to explain these things in an interesting way that fits your character, fits the situation that you're in, and that the magic is clear, that the audience can understand that this is prop A, this is prop B, and the magic happens, and they can see it happen here, and that nothing strange is going on. So this is a very long rant or talk, or just my head talking, but hopefully you understand what I'm talking about. Keep your magic very simple, logical, so the audience can clearly see what's happening. It's not convoluted, and then your magic will be much better, and your performance will be much better. And then don't make ridiculous statements about the props or use ridiculous props that don't really fit into your character, because that audience's suspension of the belief will go away, and then they'll just think you're hokey and corny. You have to somehow fit that with your character. Anyways, what are your comments and your thoughts about this idea? If you have any, please put them in the comments below, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic. To keep up on other episodes of Inspire Magic, please subscribe to my channel, and you can get notified when a new episode comes up, as well as when my other vlogs or my cool news or my Weird But Fun series episodes are uploaded. Anyways, that's all for today. Go out there and inspire others to do great magic. Bye-bye.